Next thing we're going to do is solve for a missing angle. Now, as you can see, the exact same three trig functions are on your screen: sine, cosine, and tangent. Last time we were using these, we were solving for a missing side, where either your opposite, your hypotenuse, or your adjacent, one of those was the variable. This time, we're going to use these trig functions to solve for a missing angle. Now, you have kind of already solved for missing angles when you did all of your calculator usage, but this is going to be a little bit different because it's going to be given to you in the format of the right triangle, and then you're going to have to figure out from there what function I use, how the ratio is set up, and how to plug it into your calculator. So if you don't have a piece of paper, take out a piece of paper and let's get started. Now time for us to solve for an angle. Now, we approach these problems the same as we do the other problems, where based off of the angle, we have to figure out which function of the three, sine, cosine, or tangent, we're going to use to solve. Now, once we figure out which function and set up our problem, that's where it gets a little bit different. You did learn a little bit about calculator usage in the previous lesson when you did plugging things into your calculator, so that's kind of what we're going to revisit. Before we can get there, though, we have to figure out our function. So, just like before, based off of the angle, we have to figure out opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. So, x to 17, that's opposite, and then x to 7 is adjacent. So, we ask ourselves, of the three functions, which function is opposite and adjacent? And that is our tangent function. So, tangent theta equals opposite over adjacent. Now, next step is we're going to take the numbers in the problem, put them into the actual layout. So tangent x equals opposite, which is 17, over adjacent, which is 7. In previous problems, we would multiply both sides by 7 and start to solve. That was when we were looking for sides. We're not looking for sides anymore. We're looking for angles. When you're looking for angles, once you have this set up, you don't have to do anything else besides plug it into your calculator. So what you're going to do is we are going to use the inverse trig function, which means we have to use the second button in our calculator. And again, if you don't have a calculator, you should be using the Desmos calculator. Go ahead and hit that second tangent button. And on your screen, you're going to see tan -1 with a parentheses open. And you are going to type in 17 divided by 7. When you type that in, go ahead and hit enter. You are going to be left with x equals 67.6 degrees. Now, we are finding an angle measure, so you do need to have a degree symbol connected to your answer. There's one example. Let's try another one and see how we do. Here's the next one. So, just like before, based off of the angle, we figure out that x to 6 is opposite. And then we notice that the 9 is directly across from the 90-degree angle, which makes that the hypotenuse. Of your three trig functions, sine, cosine, or tangent, what function do we have? And we have sine. Sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now we're going to take the information from the problem, put it into our setup here. So sine x equals 6 over 9. Again, before we would start multiplying both sides by 9 and solve for x that way. We don't have to do that. We're not looking for a side, we're looking for an angle. So just like before, we're going to do our inverse function, which means we're going to have to hit the second button when we plug it into our calculator. So go ahead and hit the second button on your screen. You're going to see second sine, and then you're going to type in 6 divided by 9. We have 6 divided by 9. And you're going to get that x equals 41.8 degrees. Now I'm going to change the screen, and there's going to be 2 more problems up there. Pause the video, try those 2 problems, and then when you're done, the screen will change. Start your video again, the screen will change, and then you can see the answers. As you can see, in our first problem over here, we had adjacent over hypotenuse, which was cosine. Cosine x equals 16 over 23. You hit second cosine in your calculator, and you get 45.9 degrees. Finally, this is an opposite over adjacent, which is tangent x equals 24 over 51. Again, second tangent in your calculator gets that tan to the -1, which is our inverse function. Type in your ratio, and you get 25.2 degrees. Now you can solve for a missing angle.